Well, hello, Pensacola. Here we are.
Hi, everybody.
Yes.
It's Charlotte and Jessica coming to you from Aragon Wine Market in Pensacola, Florida. We have some exciting news tonight. We've got somebody that's going to participate from Italy. So that's kind of interesting.
It's a very exciting show tonight.
It is.
We always talk about, we always mention or talk about, hey, we're coming to you from Pensacola, Florida, because we may have people tuning in from all over. And this is one of the beautiful new normals, is that we really do have someone joining us from all over. And so we're going to have a special guests today, all the way from Italy. So that's super exciting.
Right. We have people that that watch from all over. And so this is kind of neat to have someone come join the show from Italy. Definitely. It's late for Federico, but the fact that Federico will be joining us from Italy is super exciting. So but we'll get to that. So what I want to tell you a little bit about is what's going on at Aragon Wine Market right now. We've got our second virtual wine box put together.
That's right. Promo case number 2.
We've already sold quite a few, which is kind of exciting. It's really a neat thing. So what that is we did the first virtual wine box.
Yep. We did the first dozen wines, so it would have been the first 6 weeks of wines, because we usually do a duo or a pair. And so we did the first 6 weeks of wines and put that in promo case number 1, which you could still get if you want to try that. We can certainly put that together for you. But then we moved on. We had a couple of great orders from that, and then we moved on to promo case number 2, which is the second 6 weeks, for the to complete the 12
weeks.
What
we're doing right now. But you're right. You could get either one, the 1 or 2, either one, whichever. And we're doing, it's a full case, and you are getting 15% off. So I think you saved about $50 on the first case, and close to that on the second. So, so it's a good deal as well. And the cool thing is, you can buy the wine, and then you can go back and either on Facebook watch our videos, or on YouTube and watch the videos. So you get to see the winemakers and the people in the business talk about the wines. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was kind of the main motivation behind doing one of the virtual cases. Charlotte had the great idea. People are going to be able to go back and watch these videos. So because we've had so many wonderful guests join us from all these different all the different winemakers and importers and wine reps that have joined us from all over the country and really the world, let's box those up, put those in. You can go home, maybe you want to go through and, hey, fast forward some of the shopkeeping details that we talk about every week.
Us talking right now.
And get to the educational information, enjoy those wines. When you do get to have friends finally come in, or family members come in
and
take them
home. How it started was that I have friends who watch this, and they're not local, and they're like, we watch every week, but we can't always find the wines that y'all are promoting and talking about. So we, we want to be able to get them somehow. And then other people just miss the show, and so want to go back and try it again then. So we've got the rest of the the virtual wine tastings set up through September. We hope that in October we'll be back to our regular wine tastings in store.
I want to see all your pretty faces.
Yeah, we're really excited about this. We love doing these virtual wine tastings, and we may still kind of do them in some kind of different way. Maybe we'll do them once a month, or maybe we'll do them in conjunction with, I don't know, we'll see. But and the fact is, we do have the rest of these set up through September, and we'll see where we go in October. So how this works is, if you've not done it before,
and I think it's important that we mention it again for people that have no idea what we're talking about, or haven't done it before.
Oh my gosh! So I won't say who it was, but I looked at this other Facebook post from somebody else that's a wine store, and they were talking about their virtual wine tastings, and the comments were horrendous, because they were like, virtual wine tasting, that's so stupid. I can virtually taste wine, blah, 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 blah. And so, they just didn't understand it. And so it is good to say how it works is you come and get your wine.
Right.
And then you join us and drink the wine with us, and then you talk to the people and that sort of thing. So it's
That's
not
right. Each week we're going to announce the wine that we're going to do next week, giving you an entire 7 days to come by the shop, curbside, or come on inside.
Right.
Pick up the wine, take them home with you, and then if you want to save them, we always encourage you to save them. Save them till next Thursday, and then you can enjoy them at home. We have wonderful customers.
With us.
Every week you can log on and watch the live broadcast. And so each week we're going to announce what we're doing the upcoming week. That way you know and have time to pick it up and take it home and enjoy.
And so I do want to go ahead and get to the wines tonight, because we have, we'll bring him in first. Federico is joining us from Italy.
It's quite late there.
Hi, Federico.
Hello, thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Marcello also joining us. And we have Michelle Fix. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Federico,
Michele.
can we start with you, Federico? I know that you are in Italy. What part of Italy and what time is it?
So it's actually 1 a.m. and I am in Tuscany. I live close to Firenze, Florence, in a small town that is called San Casciano. So actually I am in the middle of the Chianti Classico area. Even if tonight we are going to speak about other wines and other denomination, but just to give you an idea.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And also, Marcello, thank you for joining us. Where are you located?
I am located in Naples, Florida. It is 7 o'clock at night, and I'm also almost going to bed, because that's what we do here. I'm like Federico. It's also my sleeping time. So, probably I will not be able to stay here for the whole event. It's going to be way past my bedtime.
It sounds like it. And Monsieur Fix is joining us not from the studio tonight. He is at his own home. Hi, Michelle. How are you tonight?
It's an Italy night, or it's Michele.
Oh, Michele.
So I'm doing good. I'm just trying to keep one of my little boys from coming in here and tackling me. But I think the customers might like to see it. They might think that that's kind of cute. So we'll see.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Yeah, we joked about that BBC interview earlier this week, which was comical, to say the least. So, well, I definitely want to get us kicked off. Before we kick off, though, I know Dannon just commented her new Piaggio from Tappa Coast is from Tuscany. So thanks so much for tuning in. A big shout out to her. Tappa Coast, if you haven't heard, they use us to source their wine and beer, but she got us this awesome light for our show tonight. So before we move on, just wanted to say thank you, Dana. That was above and beyond, girlfriend. We're so thankful for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this Melacce, if you want to go ahead and kick us off, Federico, talk to us about this amazing Vermentino.
Okay, so first of all, we are in an area called Monte Cucco. Is a DOC. We are in the southwest of Tuscany, and Monte Cucco is located between Montalcino, that I'm sure everyone have heard about, and the Tuscan coast. And Collemassari was established here in the Monte Cucco area in 1999 by the Tipa Bertarelli family, and has a total surface of 1,200 hectares, 120 of which are vineyards. Since the very beginning, the production is certified as organic. So this is our, let's say, way of our production philosophy. And this is also thanks to the unique microclimate of that area. We are located around 320 meters above the sea level. We have the influence of the sea breeze, and we have also a perfect temperature swing between days and nights in that area. And we have forests that are surrounding our property, and they are protecting the vineyards from the outside. And this is very important when you grow organic. Talking about the wine, Melacce is 100% Vermentino. I'm sure that you know this trendy grape from Italy, but for those who are not familiar, Vermentino is like a mix between a Sauvignon Blanc for his, let's say, minerality, his elegance, his freshness, and a Pinot Grigio for the aromatic profile. So I like to say best of both worlds.
That's a great description, because a lot of times people haven't heard of Vermentino, but everybody's heard of Sauvignon Blanc. Everybody's heard of Pinot Grigio, of course. So, and so when, you know, it's for us in the business trying to sell Vermentino, it's nice to have something familiar for people to reference.
That's a beautiful reference. Absolutely.
I know. Anyway, so going back to our Melacce, so the name Melacce comes from a small river that is crossing inside our property. So we decided to name the wine with this, let's say, as this river. And an interesting fact is that Collemassari was the first estate who brought here Vermentino in the Monte Cucco area. Because, you know, Vermentino usually is grown very close to the seaside, on the Tuscanian coast, in Liguria, in Sardinia. So we have the influence of the sea breeze. We are not far from the coast, but let's say we were the first one who introduced Vermentino in the DOC of Monte Cucco, with amazing results. Talking about the wine, of course, is a fresh white wine, so it goes through fermentation in a temperature-controlled stainless steel tank, and then the wine, after a few months of refining in bottle, is ready for drinking. And about the tasting notes of this wine, of course, the wine has a yellow, bright color. We have an aromatic nose, mainly white and yellow fruits, a little bit of exotic fruits that is typical from the variety. And then this is a dry wine, first of all, very important. And then I would say in the mouth, the wine is more on the fresh side. We have this crisp acidity combined with the typical minerality of the Monte Cucco area. And we have some notes of like green apple and limes. So I would say it's a very refreshing wine, despite, you know, the alcohol that is around close to 14 degrees. So you don't feel it in the mouth, thanks to the amazing acidity of the wine.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was 14%. That's kind of high up there for a white wine, and it doesn't give that quality at all. Like you don't taste that alcohol.
If you don't read it on the label, you cannot imagine that has this alcohol. Yeah. And this is thanks to the minerality and the acidity typical of that wine. And I would say this is an ideal summer wine because of its fresh taste and its drinkability. So it's
as far as how it's made, it's all in, is it stainless? Stainless, no.
Yes.
No concrete, no oak, no. No. And so one of the things I've always heard is what grows together goes together. And you mentioned by the sea. What would you say what would you pair this with in Italy?
First of all, you can drink it by itself because it's a very good summer aperitif. But then I would suggest mainly with fish. So like any kind of seafood, like lobster dishes, or, you know, with pasta and with fried fish. Why not?
Well, and I would think that even with a creamy pasta, it would be good to cut through that creaminess to kind of balance out that heaviness.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
and for
agree.
me, growing up on the Gulf of Mexico, growing up on the Panhandle, I love seafood. So I think about grouper picada or a whitefish, a good solid whitefish with this would be absolutely outstanding. A scamp or perhaps even a snapper, kind of crossing into that spectrum. Whether it was, with that crisp of the green apple, it still would be, I think, okay from a flavor profile to cross into some beurre blanc and I don't know. I would love, absolutely. I'm super hungry now just talking about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can think of about a half a dozen things that I would pair with this from a food standpoint.
Federico,
I think it would also be good with an antipasta platter. Some meats and some delicious cheeses as well.
Yes, of course, like with mozzarella cheese or even some more seasoned cheese, because of the body of the wine and the freshness, the acidity. It can be paired with even with food that are more creamy or fatty. So,
Does Marcello, do you have something to say?
Yeah, you needed more wine.
I want to say those are great pairings, but I really want to give people some local things. So, Federico, we should mention about our friends that we are in Tuscany on the coast, and in Tuscany, one of very typical seafood dishes is the ciaulco from the seafood caciuco dish. So maybe that's a great pairing with the for the melacces, the caciuco. I don't know if can you explain them the dish a little bit so they can replicate it.
yes, so caciuco is basically a fish soup, but is a spicy fish soup because
Perfect
it's,
for this
of
one.
course,
Perfect.
it's basically you have to cook the fish in this broth that is made with white wine, tomatoes, onion, and red chili. So it will be a very nice pairing.
And that would be really cool because a lot of it, actually locally, we have a lot of restaurants that do cioppino,
Yes.
which is kind of a San Francisco thing, but it's only a San Francisco thing by way of Italy, because a lot of Italian immigrants came to California from different places in Italy, and a lot of them started making cioppino, which is very similar to this, and also almost similar to bouillabaisse a little bit too. And a lot of times people will pair Sauvignon Blancs with those other dishes, and this is not the same. We're not going to say it's the same, but it behaves in some similar fashion to Sauvignon Blanc for people who like that. So when people say they want to drink something that's like Sauvignon Blanc, sometimes Vermentino can fit that mold very, very nicely. And to talk about that dish, caciucco, and also talk about cioppino, it makes sense because people eat cioppino all over the country in America, and also locally here, it's a big dish.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
good.
That's a really beautiful pairing. Now that you say that, that supersedes everything that I said before because now I just want to have that. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, that does sound good to me too.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Federico, are you a chef? Do you cook as well?
Yeah, I can do something.
That's cool.
We all
I
have
like
like a
food,
few favorite
and
dishes.
I like
I
to
feel
eat
like
and
everybody
drink,
has
so.
their.
Yeah, well, we may have to get your recipe for that fish soup and maybe post it on the website for anybody that's interested and see where we go from there.
It's my personal recipe of the caciucco, but I can give it to you.
Oh, that's like special.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. We'll take you up on that. So, well, great. Well, I love this wine. I do think it's got a nice crispness to it, and I think it's very. It's a Florida wine, and I think that people do a lot of disservice if they only know Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is fine; it's got its spot, but if you want a little something extra that's going, little something extra, I would say Vermentino if you've not tried it before.
I think I want to mention that the most important thing tonight about this wine that I wanted to share with our friends, this wine, the one thing that you should remember about this wine that you cannot forget is the area. Montecucco. I would like people home to try to repeat. It's actually fun to say Montecucco, Montecucco, it's very fun. Montecucco is the upcoming appellation in Tuscany. We have, and Federico represents many great wineries, but you know, Brunello is great, but everybody knows Brunello Montalcino. Chianti, Bolgheri, fantastic wine, we're going to taste later. But Montecucco, it's still the kind of underrated area, great values, like tonight the Melacce.
Yeah.
Our friends, guys, you are watching. If you want to look cool with your friends when you go home, if you want to show your wine people that you know more than them, you can ask them. I have a wine from Tuscany, from an area, an appellation that you never heard before, and they tell you which one. You say Montecucco, and they go, what? They don't know about. It's the upcoming, so it's the new trend, and I'm so happy that you fusion this wine, the white Melacce, but also the other reds from Collemassari. That amazing value, great expression of Tuscany, and it's really something that everybody should discover and enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcello. Yes, that's true. Yeah, of course, Montecucco is a recent denomination, even for the, let's say, the Italian winemaking history. So it's not so popular as the Chianti or the Montalcino wines, but is becoming really interesting considering the, let's say, the quality for value.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, because the other red bottles that Marcello was talking about with like Rigoletto and the Reservas, you know, compared to a super Tuscan wine or a Chianti Classico, the value is really there. So people have the opportunity to get in on the ground floor a little bit on some of these wines, and because they're Italian wines and they have high acid, which is the hallmark of almost all Italian wines, they will keep really well for a number of years, even at the lower price point. You know, I mean, they will drink well for, you know, easily for a couple of years, no doubt. And then the nicer bottles even longer. So they're really people get to jump in and say they were the ones who knew first, which is always fun.
That's always
Americans love to say that. Every hipster loves to say they knew about Wilco before anybody else did, right? You know.
Well, and speaking of, and the price on this, I believe, is $15
$15 a bottle.
$15. Yep. You know, I mean, that's
a steal. I'm gonna make a trip. I'm gonna make a trip in Pensacola and buy a case. That's a steal.
It is a steal.
We saw
at 14% alcohol by volume. It's absolutely a steal. And then on top of that, we couple that it's absolutely delicious. It's certainly, you know, when you think about, to me, I think about some more expensive Sauvignon Blanc. You talk about balancing that Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, middle ground at $15 a bottle. It's a beautiful, beautiful wine. Some might porch pounder in Pensacola. That's become a term I love. I mean, this will be so good.
I want to be honest. I travel. You know, my territory is very large, so I know many market in many retail in Florida. This wine, the Melacce, in many retail in Florida, it start at least from $16.99 to $19.99. So you guys at that price, I don't want to just, you know, I'm not going to say, but if you really trust me.
Customers, get it while it's hot, because we're marking it up next time.
I know, I was going to say, maybe marked up.
So it might be 7 next time.
Don't get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble, Marcello. Come on now.
No, it's great. It's a great value.
We certainly want to be, you know, respectful of Federico's time and Italy. Do you want to move on? Should we?
Yeah. Can we move? We'll move to the red, because I know Federico is.
Okay.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's
time.
1
so
o'clock in the morning.
So thank you for understanding.
Of course. Thank you for participating.
Well, the next wine comes from a very popular area of Tuscany that is called Bolgheri. And the winery is Grattamacco. And the history of this winery is very interesting because if we speak about the, let's say, the area of Bolgheri, again, is a quite recent area in Tuscany, considering the history of the Italian winemaking, but it became very famous in a short time, and today is one of the most important, interesting, and expensive denomination from Italy. So here it became famous for the Super Tuscan wines. So wines made mainly with the Bordeaux blend, or the majority of the blend is coming with, from French grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Syrah, Petit Verdot, etc. And I would say the pioneer here in Bolgheri was Tenuta San Guido with the Sassicaia, that probably is the most iconic, let's say, red wine from Italy, big red wine from Italy. But interesting to know that Grattamacco was the second estate founded in Bolgheri after Tenuta San Guido. We are in 1977, and they started to produce wine on the hilly side of Bolgheri, because Bolgheri again is very close to the seaside, and the majority of the vineyards are located on a flat land facing the sea. But the historical wineries of Bolgheri, so Tenuta San Guido was the first one, Grattamacco, the second one, and Ornellaia, the third one, they have their historical vineyard located on the hilly side, so on the, let's say, eastern part of Bolgheri, the one that is, let's say, on a higher altitude. And this is very important when we describe Grattamacco, because we have, I would say, a unique character in our wine, that is the presence of the Sangiovese. This is kind of unique thing in Bolgheri, because most of the wine, they are based on the French grapes. But since the very beginning, in Grattamacco, we are growing the Sangiovese thanks to these high altitude vineyards. Again, Grattamacco is certified as organic as well, and we have, of course, different wines. Here we have the Bolgheri Rosso, that is, let's say, our first red, and the wine is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, 60%, 20% of Cabernet Franc, 10% of Merlot, and 10% of Sangiovese. The wine, after a fermentation in stainless steel tank, ages for 10 months in French oak barrique. We use about 50% of new oak and 50% of used barrique. About the wine, here we have a nose. Cheers.
Cheers. Absolutely.
We have an intense note of dark fruit.
And it can be decanted very easily. I mean, it's a great wine to open right away, but it's a great wine after 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah,
and it's marvelous in that sense, because it is the Sangiovese really makes it very pretty up front and brings a brightness to it. Even if it's only 10%, it still adds a little bit of a jump to the wine, and electrifies the other fruit that's there, which something like Sassicaia is not going to do when you first open it, because it has no Sangiovese. It just has Cabernet and Cabernet Franc, something like that. So the Sangiovese here is always what I try to tell people, is that this is unique and also makes it very drinkable when you first open it, and also it's still ageable.
Yeah, it gives verticality to the wine, and I would say once you taste it, you have these notes of like blackcurrant and plum, so mainly dark fruits with some spicy and chocolate notes. You feel the green notes of the Cabernet combined with the freshness, the balsamic notes of the Sangiovese. So Bolgheri is mainly known for, let's say, powerful wine. But here at Grattamacco, we have elegance rather than concentration. So I would say that compared to other Bolgheri, because of the presence of the Sangiovese that is giving elegance, freshness to the wine, verticality, our wines has a little less concentration and roundness, and they are a little bit more elegant, I would say, and of course interesting to drink.
Yes, and so you
Absolutely.
mentioned the grapes, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Sangiovese. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, and a lot of people will say this is a Super Tuscan. What does that mean to you when people say Super Tuscan?
So in Italy, we don't use this kind of word, but we understand that abroad, many people, they call wines from Bolgheri and even wines from the Chianti Classico area, let's say from Tuscany, they call Super Tuscans wines that has the Sangiovese sometimes, but mainly they have international grapes like Cabernet, Merlot, Syrah, and whatever. And let's say from an historical point of view, we know that this was this word was, let's say, created. I suppose first by Robert Parker when he was judging or describing those wines.
Roberto.
Yeah, Roberto. Because they at the very beginning, today we have the Bolgheri DOC, but back in the 70s, in the 80s, there were not any DOC, so those wines were without any kind of appellation. And at that time, in Tuscany, you could find only Chiantis or Brunellos. So those wines with this aging potential, with this body, they were without any kind of appellation. So they were not, let's say, easy to remember or to describe. So they created this word, Super Tuscan, to identify those wines because they had no appellation at that time. But today, because Bolgheri is an established name, I think that people, they should move from Super Tuscan to Bolgheri.
I like that too.
One thing I want to mention about this wine that Federico didn't say because he's very humble as the rest of the wine. This is the first wine ever to have the name Bolgheri on the label. Sassicaia is yes, so this is actually very unique. It shows you, like Federico said, because everybody can say we were the second, the third. It's not easy, right, to keep a track. But this was the very first wine to have a Bolgheri on the label as the name is, the prior name of the wine, because there was at that time in Bolgheri there was no Bolgheri yet. There was no Bolgheri, and that's what they came out with the name. And actually they allowed to keep the name because they had the name before Bolgheri became an appellation, right? So they are the only one allowed to use the name as a priority name on the wine because they named before the DOC Bolgheri was created. So an incredible value. Again, like the Montecucco Melacce, we talk about value. You have an historical producer, all estate bottle, organic, on the very, the only two hills on Bolgheri, you have Sassicaia and Grattamacco. This bottle, it's one of the, best value. The vintage 18, it's a killer vintage. Already got a beautiful press. The 70 was a little bit more fruitier and kind of lighter, shy. 18 has so much more power and richness. And this wine, if you want to really taste and test book Super Tuscan Bolgheri red blend, you cannot go wrong with this wine. You don't break your bank, and you just have an amazing evening.
And so the wines that we're talking about that we're throwing out, Donalaya, Sassicaia, those are, 200 and something plus dollars. This one is a bargain. We sell it for 30, which is not even a fraction of the cost of some of these other ones that are from the exact same area.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. And you know what is interesting? Thank you, Marcello, of course, for the nice description. You're totally right. And I like to say that this wine is like the business card, to discover the Bolgheri world, because here you have, would say, affordable, high-quality red wine from Tuscany from a very fancy denomination. So what else? I was there.
Yeah, it's amazing to be able to, get a wine at this price from that location, where you're dealing with these I don't want to say important wineries, but this is important as well. I mean, and so,
Yeah, I mean, to kind of speak to that further, Patsy Pyle, one of our great customers, had a question. When did the DOC appellation begin? If we can speak to that to some degree, like when did that differentiation of location begin? As we talk about it being super Tuscan, not super Tuscan, Tuscan. Yeah, absolutely. When did the question from our customer is, when did the DOC appellation begin?
In 1994.
So that's not that long ago, really, if you think about it.
And the first vintage produced at Grattamacco was 1982.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's still not that long ago, really, if you think about it.
So
Considering Italian wine.
the DOC Bolgheri, it became a little bit after the IGT in Toscana. So we had the traditional DOC, DOCG. Robert Parker started come out with the Super Toscan name. There was no appellation. There was a hole between the DOC, DOCG, and the table wine. The Italian government was a request, a need to fill the gap. In 1993, they came out with the IGT, Indicazione Geografica Tipica, to close the gap between the table wine and the DOC. And with the IGT was included everybody in Tuscany that will make a wine, from Tuscany. It doesn't matter the blend, the grape, it doesn't matter as long as it comes from Tuscany. And in 94, they came out, they recognized the Sassicaia, the such a unique terroir area in Bolgheri. They came out with the Bolgheri DOC 94, and then Sassicaia became his own DOC, Sassicaia Bolgheri. So it was a step by step.
So I feel like we may have, I know probably most people watching know, because there are wine geeks like us, but we may have gotten a little deep into this. There's something that I feel like we could do a whole year on Italian wines. But just for anybody that's out there that's wondering what's DOC, what's DOCG, what are the classifications? Maybe
That's
just do
really
a little,
let's back up even a step further.
a little background on that, and maybe Marcello, you could probably talk to that.
Yeah, so I always tell my friend and my customer, think about, we're in Italy, so don't go too far from cooking or recipe. The DOC, DOCG, are recipes. So the government tells you how to make the wine, right? So the DOC is the recipe with the pretty, details that tells you which grape to use, where to grow, when you can release the wine, the production. The DOCG, the G stands for guaranteed. There is an extra step. They don't tell you also only the recipe, how to make the wine, but also they're gonna check. They're gonna do the testing for each appellation to make sure that the wine has the minimum quality required. So they check for alcohol content. They check for many characteristics of the wine. So the G stands for a guaranteed, and you only get a G status after many years to be a DOC to prove that the area has a very old and precise recipe to make the wine. So every DOCG, it was a DOC before. Okay, and remember, very important. Every DOCG in Italy has a DOC. We call in Italy, in the Italian wine, what we call the fallback appellation. You have a DOCG Brunello, you have a DOC Rossi Montalcino, you have a DOCG Amarone, you have a DOC Valpolicella, DOCG Barolo, DOC Lange. There is always a fallback appellation to make sure if you cannot make the wine, the quality is not good, something happens, you don't lose your production, but you go to the back appellation. Very important.
If you are not first, you are second or last, as they say in America, right? You're not first, right. You're last. So I like that. You got your immediate go-to, you got your backup plan.
And again, this all goes to the fact that we could probably talk about Italian wines for about a year and still have just scratched the surface.
It's the most complex wine growing country in the world. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know, there's more grapes grown in Italy than any other country.
You know, we are Italian, so we like to make things complicated.
Thank you.
But I think it's important to understand that, you know, a lot of these different regions of Italy, you know, they've been unified, so to speak, you know, since, you know, the late 1800s or whatnot. But there's very different temperaments. There's very different cultural elements to all the different areas of Italy. You know, on both of my sides of my family, I have grandparents from Sicily and from Calabria. Now that might seem kind of similar because they're right across the strait from each other, but they're not the same. And I think Marcello's from Naples, or I believe, right, from Napoli. And then, you know, Federico is here from Tuscany. So these are all different places. And so sometimes it's a bit of a fight, you know, when you're trying to come up with appellation rules. You know, people, they're going to fight a little bit. They're going to say, oh, well, we don't want to do that. We might not want to do that. So it is a malleable process.
Fight is inherently Italian, I think. It's in all of us. It's
well, and also the Italians are more willing to morph those regulations too. Right. I mean, there's been a lot more ability to change, and I think that's really good in much the same way that like something like California would be. But in France, that's not the case, you know, and in Germany and Austria, definitely not. You know, Germany is very difficult to change rules, but Italy has always been very willing, I think, in a lot of places to change the types of grapes and the aging regimen and all sorts of different, or changing where the actual area is and sort of merging it a little bit with other areas because they know that things change and that's fine and that's good.
Yeah.
Questions that we have asked, Patsy is asking about the symbols, because we do see when we're selling wines, the symbol around the band that goes around there that says DOC, DOCG, and that. Sorry, Marcello.
Yeah, that's the ribbon. The ribbon is only for the DOCG and some DOC, but that's actually the minister. What happens? Every winery, if you're DOC or DOCG, every year you have to declare how many bottles you will make. So if you make Brunello, right, DOCG, you have to declare the year before. So I'm gonna make 10,000 bottles, and those ribbons they are sent from the government to the winery and say those are 10,000 ribbon. If you make 10,000 in one bottle, you drink it there. You can't sell it because that's the only one that you have. So it's
not such a bad problem.
No, that's a very restricted. So the ribbon, it looks nice, but it's not Italian to be fancy like you have a scarf. It actually has a very precise meaning from the government. Yes.
Yeah, yes. That's good.
And we talk about bottle production, this Grattamacco, the Bolgheri, you've got what, around a 50,000 bottle production? Is that right?
For the Bolgheri Rosso, you mean?
Yes, the Rosso.
Yeah, we are more close to 60, 70,000 bottles. But again, it really depends on the vintage because since we are growing organic grapes, of course, our production, it really depends on the vintage.
So, and one of the things that that we talked about a little bit and alluded to was the ageability of this wine. I mean, it's not an inexpensive wine. We sell it for $30, but it's not like some of the $200 bottles that come from that area. But how long do you think that you would age this? Is this something that's ageable?
Yes,
when do you think would be prime to drink?
Definitely, it's an ageable wine. I would say the great thing is about those wines is that they are ready to drink now. So if you buy the current vintage, it will be really enjoyable, smooth, and ready to drink. But if you like to buy the wine and keep it in your cellar, it can easily age for more than 10 years.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I think what's happened outside?
We have had a traffic accident. So sorry.
Oh, it was a terrible accident outside. But anyway, no, it's okay.
We are okay.
There's just a a terrible accident outside, but we're okay. We're
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. There are people crashing the store to buy the Melacce and the Bolgheri. Stop them. Stop them.
Apparently.
This amazing Bolgheri.
But so, I mean, so what? That's nice that you are able to drink this right now, or you can put it in your cellar and see how it changes. And for me, that's always a nice thing. And I kind of harped on this last week, and I'll harp on it again. Is that in America, we buy a wine and we drink it, and we just, I mean, that's what we do, because you buy a wine, you drink it. And it's hard to be patient and sometimes let the wine develop into what it can be, and with the deliciousness that comes with an age on a wine.
Yeah.
I think that this is not only in the US. I think this is a worldwide trend, because besides maybe wine collectors that they buy super expensive wines and they keep it in the cellar, I think that most of the people they like to buy the wine and drink it, so they don't have time to wait. Maybe 1 year, because you have one cellar at home, so you don't drink every day. But I would say it's very important to make wines that are ready to drink now. And even if you try our Bolgheri Superiore Grattamacco, that is the, let's say, the higher category, it's ready to drink, even when on the fresh vintage. Of course, you can age it and enjoy the wine after 5, 10, 15 years. But if you want to buy the wine and drink it, you don't, let's say, I would say you will not be disappointed. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But there's just something special about having that patience and taking a wine off the shelf that you've let sit there for several years, however many years, 5, 10, with that, you know, and enjoying that, because that's not something that you can duplicate.
Yeah. We had a couple of weeks ago that actually came in, and they do an anniversary bottle of wine every year, and they buy something for each year that they're going to cellar for the year and enjoy the next year. And that's just something they've done for every year of their wedding, not to that kind of completely divert into a different like level of conversation. But one of our customers that came in the other day, they said, we're celebrating our anniversary. We buy a bottle of wine every year. We put it on the shelf to enjoy later. And that's what we're doing.
And if you have the patience to do that,
usually I tell my friends, some of my friends and consumer, when you buy a wine, when you find a wine that you like, don't buy one bottle. Buy 3 or 4 bottles. What you do, you buy 4 bottles, you drink 1 bottle now. Let's say you buy the Grattamacco, you buy 3 bottles, you drink 1 bottle now, the other 2 bottles you wait 2-3 years for, and you see how the wine evolves.
I love that.
You learn how to the wine age. You see how the wine is different, and actually it's it's the best way to have the best value, because the problem when you buy wine that have some age on, if you buy the wine that was stored by a wine store or a restaurant, you have to pay the money that they had this wine, wait on the list.
We've been sitting on it.
People tells me, how do you drink 20 years old Brunello? So, well, when I bought more bottles and I waited. So that's what they should do. If you're curious to know how these 2018 Bolgheri will taste in 5 years, go to the Aragon wine market, buy 5 bottles, and drink 1 now, and wait the other one for 3 or 4 years, and that's it. Simple.
Absolutely, I love that's. I mean,
wonderful advice.
It is, and it's hard for us to do, but I mean, if you can, that's the thing to do. But make a little note on the back and say, don't drink drink this one in this year, drink this one in that year.
That was actually a wonderful thing to side note to our practices of Aragon, is that Charlotte has Sharpies, and she's carrying it in her hand right now. And so she'll mark on a bottle when we've opened it, if it's sitting open and, something that we're consuming in the shop, to share with our guests and share with our customers. And she'll mark it if it's something that, we market, if it's a sample bottle, if it's something that we're going to, obviously we don't necessarily mark it when we put it in the personal cellar perhaps, but there are times that she marks a bottle, and that's a good note to make, that you can put a note on, like,
do it for yourself.
Drink till 2022.
Yeah, and you can't buy 5 bottles of Sassicaia.
No.
I mean, you could probably. But
No, I mean you can. I mean
It's
it's possible, but you can buy 5 bottles of Grattamacco easily, and also
Exactly.
all year round.
right.
Whereas Sassicaia, it kind of disappears sometimes, and sometimes people
Yeah.
have it, and sometimes they don't. But you have a unique experience here to do something that's cost effective. To do what Marcello is saying, it's not cost effective. It'll cost you less than top flight Napa Valley wines as well. So I mean.
Sure.
And also, people love it. People love Italian food, like we talked about in some of our posts. We said, get some
I will stop you. People love Italian. That's it. Everything
Well, yeah,
else, Italian food, Italian wine, Italian people, everything is Italian. People love it.
yeah.
That's the way.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Italia. That's
And
it.
we talked about the white. What would go well with this white, or what would well with the white, which was seafood, of course. I mean, honestly, this is a meat lover's wine, I would say.
Yes, but if you want to be surprised, try the Bolgheri Rosso with fish.
Ah, okay. And
Yeah.
how would you prepare your fish?
I
Yeah.
would, of course, recommend some juicy, fatty fish like salmon, this kind of stuff, maybe with some
Yeah.
sauces. I would not, of course, pair this wine with a raw fish or something delicate like a cod
Yeah.
or something like that. But with something that is a bit more tasty and juicy,
Pardon.
it will be a very interesting pairing.
Yeah. That
And
sounds
if you
Maybe
wanna-
with
if you wanna
the
be-
fish.
Yeah.
if you
Tonight
wanna-
I'll be pairing it with a like very delicious and oversized meatball from Global Grill. And I
So-
already pre-called in my order, and I'm super excited about that. But yeah,
Last weekend, I got Global Grill's Italian meatball, and it's the size of a small cannon. It's enormous.
it's like the size of my child's head.
You're gonna make these Italian guys blush here at the size of a meatball that's this big.
No,
They're
it
gonna be a
was.
little bit
It was
perplexed,
ridiculous.
by that.
I was thinking something similar. I was thinking, I'm living in the United States now for several years. If you want to keep on a budget, it'd be more like, to put together Italy and United States together. This wine is a killer with a beautiful, juicy burger. Very nice, beautiful burger with maybe some crispy bacon, maybe
Yes.
put some avocado to feel good about yourself. Just a nice butter bun. I mean, it's perfect. I love this wine with any kind of grilled meat. For example, a flan steak, a sandwich, a
Oh
panino,
yeah, for sure.
ciabatta bread, flan steak, a little arugula, olive oil, salt. Boom. Perfect.
Can you put that on our website also?
I
I
know.
will.
Recipes have been collected.
Yes. So, guys, if you don't mind, I will just go and die in my bed.
We were just saying to each other secretly that you've got to be exhausted.
I know. Thank you so much, Federico. We will
welcome.
hopefully we'll see you either here or in Italy. Either way, we would love to see you soon.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
so much for your
I hope
time
one-
and enjoy your slumber.
Now,
Yes.
Federico,
As
thank you.
soon as it will be possible, I will jump on an airplane and fly directly to the US because I'm missing, my main market as export manager. And it will be a pleasure. For sure, I will tell you some recipes so that if you need them for the website, you will use
That
it.
sounds awesome.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Au revoir. A titular.
Ciao.
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 So what's funny is that I will just do a little quick sidebar, and Nick Shook from
Emerald Coast
Tours just came in. So he does a wine and glide, and they
On segways, you
on
guys.
segways.
On segways. How
And
cool is that?
so they he bought a bottle of this right before the show and went across the street because we're not doing in-house drinking right now, and just came in and bought another bottle because it was so good.
It was so good. They're across the street drinking their wine, loving it, and he came back and got some more. So Marcello, Michele, cheers to that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank God I've got some still left in my bottle.
We have one bottle left of the Bolgheri, but sold out of both of these this week. So
Yeah.
I wanted to say to some of the people who might be interested in Vermentino after trying the Melacce is that Grattamacco also does, I mean, an absolutely incredible Vermentino. So this is from the same winemaking same company of wines.
Sounds awesome.
It's a little bit different because it actually has oak on it as well. So it's a different style of wine. But for somebody who wants if somebody who wants to take Vermentino to the next level, who also likes a little bit of oak on their wines, like a great Burgundy or something like that, it's exceptional.
That's super cool. I'll definitely try it.
By the way, Grattamacco was the second wine in Bolgheri. The Grattamacco Vermentino was the very first Vermentino bottle in Bolgheri. Every other Vermentino was after Grattamacco. They were the first one to bottle Vermentino. So the Vermentino that Michael is talking about, the Grattamacco Superiore, it's an icon Vermentino. It's a landmark Vermentino in Bolgheri by far.
And I think Bolgheri, even like the very first Bolgheri DOC, was only white wine. So it was in 1983, I think it was, and it was whites and rosatos, and the reds came 10 years later, I think, if I remember correctly, like you said, 1994. So in a sense, really, the Vermentino is kind of like maybe even a little more important. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but in a way, it's kind of like it's kind of like its really elegant older sister or something. Like its sister that taught the younger brother, how to dance or something.
Well, what's interesting is that I think we talked about it last week because we were talking about I'm a big aged white fan, and the oldest white that I drank was white Rioja, which was delicious. And so I'm just wondering, Marcello, what is your oldest white wine that you've tried?
I had the privilege to have a 1985 Verdicchio. When I was in Le Marche, I was visiting a winery. I grew up in Le Marche. I was born in Napoli. I grew up in Le Marche. Verdicchio, along with Trebbiano di Soave, Turbiana, and another couple of grapes, they can age very well. And Verdicchio was the oldest one I aged. But also, when I was in Piemonte last year, 2 years ago, I tasted a 1995 Arnese from Castello di Neve. They have their own clone, amazing wine. So there are some wine that are very fun. But the oldest one I tasted was a Verdicchio di Castelli Iesi.
That's cool.
Amazing.
I'm also
Pam and Bill, we got you covered. I see your comments, and I will see you guys lovingly tomorrow or whenever you can come in. We'll take care of that for you guys. Go ahead.
I'm also a Lugana fan. That's one of my favorite Italian whites. And I don't think that gets enough attention. So maybe we'll have you back, Marcello, and we'll do, I mean, like I said, we could talk for a year about Italian wines. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for hosting us. And thank you for showcasing those beautiful wines from Tuscany.
Yes. And we'll see you hopefully soon. Probably not in Naples, but maybe in Pensacola, perhaps.
Yes.
All right.
Ciao. Thank you. Bye, Michael. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Grazie. Buonasera.
So, Michael Fix is still here. We're going to talk about what we've got up on deck for next week.
So next week is near and dear to me, like really near and dear to me. We want to get like personal and honest. So today is actually my 13-year cancer-free celebration date, and so it's a perfect interlude into.
We probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the show,
maybe,
but anyway,
we'll talk about it again. But this is 13 years cancer-free to me, and that's a big deal. And so next week we're gonna feature the Minor wines, and Emily Minor is the namesake of this. They donate a percentage of the proceeds of this wine to cancer research. It's a beautiful, beautiful bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, and so
we're up in the ante with the Minor wines. We've got
Picking it up.
2 wines on deck. The Minor Viognier, which everybody knows Viognier is my favorite white wine. And then the Emily's Cab, which proceeds do go to breast cancer, which is, or cancer, I'm not sure if it's breast cancer, but it's cancer, which is nice. They're both from Napa. So, I mean, a Napa wine, you're gonna pay a little more for. But these are special wines. They are incredible quality. We will also be having the director of winemaking, Gary Bookman, join us as well. So it's a big show, a special show. Michael Fix, do you have anything to say about the minor wines? I know you do. And I want to say something else after you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes. The wines, the proceeds, the percentage of the proceeds go to the V Foundation. So Jimmy V, I don't know if anybody has ever watched Jimmy V's famous speech at the ESPYs on ESPN back in the early 90s, but it's a very, very, very powerful, moving speech, and I think everybody should watch it whenever they can get the chance, because it shows the perseverance of people who have had to deal with this disease. Furthermore, this wine is delicious. I know lots of wines are delicious, and that doesn't say a lot, but this is also the Emily's. That's the Viognier, right? And we love Viognier, and it's a terrific Viognier. And there's not a lot of Viognier grown in California. It's not a very common single varietal grape in California. You might see some blends of Rhone wines and things like that you see blends of, but not a lot of single varietal Viognier. But the Emily's, I really wanted to accentuate that for people because we tried it at the shop a few months ago. It's an exceptional wine, and also it will introduce some people to a winery that they probably, they might not have had before. And it's also a feel-good story. And Labor Day's coming up. The holidays are coming up. There's, we have a reason to go out and grab a great bottle of wine for a lot of reasons right now. And our kids are going back to school. That's a reason to celebrate.
Hey, I think that there was a wonderful and beautiful podcast blog thing that I read not too long ago that was like, stop saving that special china. Let's celebrate life today. Like, start living your life today. Stop waiting for the special occasion. For me, this is a celebratory date that is exciting for me in my personal life. That many people
tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate tomorrow.
We're gonna do
That's
that.
right. I got a babysitter.
We're gonna celebrate tomorrow.
But yes, that you stop waiting for that pie in the sky date and just like celebrate life today. So whatever that celebratory experience is, you got that new job, you go, girl. Let's have a good, beautiful glass of wine. You achieved that, you finished this, you did, like, life is worth celebrating. So let's celebrate now. And that is what, to me, 13 years cancer-free means. Celebrate and live your life today. And so in honor of Emily, I look forward to celebrating her memory, her existence in that same regard of celebrate.
They're a super cool winery.
Yeah.
I've been there and actually loved their wines so much that I went around and bought all of their wines I could. But I will say they aren't inexpensive. The Viognier is $26. The Cab is
$65. So it's at the top end of the spectrum that we've done for our virtual wine tastings.
It is on the top for our virtual wine tastings. But I will tell you, it's going to be worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Napa Cab. I mean, it's delicious, and
I think it's extremely elegant and really well balanced. I think people are going to be really surprised, and I really do think that it'll become a new favorite for a lot of people for years to come. It's a really great wine.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive bottle, but it's definitely worth it, and we do think that
I'll never forget, not too long ago, we had a beautiful customer come in that said it was a more expensive wine. He was buying a bottle that was probably like $62 to $78. I can't remember which specific one, but he said, I buy it because it makes me feel good, and today is the day to celebrate me. And I just thought to myself, like, oh my God, like, yes, like, so maybe it's, every day isn't a
Might not be
celebration.
Yeah.
your normal Thursday
It may
night
not be your-
wine.
Exactly.
And you may not, and you know what? Get the Viognier. Enjoy that with us. And then if you want to buy this and enjoy it on the weekend or something,
I would say to people, if they're buying bottles of Camus or bottles of cake bread or whatever frequently, this is cheaper than those, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised by. I know they will be surprised by how good.
Yeah,
we don't need to justify.
We don't need to justify it. It's
so,
delicious.
Yeah.
The quality
Yeah.
is definitely there, and we look forward to knocking your socks off with this celebratory bottle of wine.
We're excited
2 bottles of wine.
We're excited to bump it up a notch. So, so join us
Level
next
up,
week. So,
and we'll see you next week.
We're gonna say bye to Mike and Fix, and then hold on up. We're gonna bye.
Bye.
All right. So we are gonna suggest everybody come out and get those. I would say that we've got plenty in stock. So, but if you want to do curbside or if you want to park in the back, we're still doing that. Yep. Let's see what else is going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. My favorite phone call today was from Helen, one of our great customers, and she said, put me a great case of reds. I said, did you have any favorites from last week? And she said, nope, surprise me. And I did, and
that's always fun.
That's always fun.
We like doing that. So
if you have any, have no specific recommendations, or you have a ton of specific recommendations, let us know. And we're happy to put together that case. For her, I focused on the California, the French, and the Spanish locations wines, and then we went backtrack.
That's nice, yeah.
4 wines deep.
Yeah, that's nice.
Spain, France, and California. From there.
Oh, we've got Snoop Dogg in.
We do. Oh,
Snoop
God.
in the house. Everybody has been wanting to check this out. It's from 19 Crimes. So if you like the 19 Crimes wines, I personally haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna. But everybody likes the Cali Red. So if anybody's looking, we got it.
We do have it in stock. And for me, I am an old school hip hop and rap fan. So to me, I just really want to have a bottle of this. Sitting.
We'll try it tomorrow night.
Sitting
Tomorrow
on the
night,
shelf.
we're gonna celebrate your cancer free.
That's right.
And
double G in the house.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, I think, for tuning in. That might be our show for the day. And we will see you next week with Minor Wines. All right. Bye. Ciao.